They say clothing can speak louder than words, and Aubrey Plaza just proved it. When she stepped onto the stage at SNL 50, all eyes weren't just on her performance, but on the shirt she chose to wear. It wasn't flashy designer couture. It wasn't a bold fashion stunt. It was something far more personal, tie-dye. And to those who know her story, it was instantly clear this was a tribute to her late husband, Jeff Baena.
Overall, I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, I feel really grateful to be moving through the world.
Plaza reflecting on her feelings following the sudden loss with her Parks and Recreation co-star Amy Poehler on her podcast Good Hang, comparing her grief to the sci-fi movie The Gorge.
I swear when I watched it, I was like, that is feels like what my grief is.
This was Aubrey Plaza's very first public appearance since Jeff's death. The crowd may have been excited to see her back, but the quiet statement she made through that tie-dye shirt carried more weight than any line she delivered on the sketch comedy stage. Fans quickly connected the dots, realizing this wasn't just fashion. This was grief. This was love. This was remembrance. So why tie-dye? Why did that single choice resonate so deeply with those who know Aubrey's journey? To understand, we have to go back a few years, to the middle of quarantine, when tie-dye became something more than just a craft project in her household. Back in 2021, Aubrey Plaza appeared on The Drew Barrymore Show. During that interview, she shared something she had kept fairly private. She and Jeff had gotten married in tie-dye pajamas. That wasn't just a quirky Hollywood twist. It was a deeply personal expression of who Jeff was and what their bond represented. Aubrey explained it in her own words, saying, "Jeff got really into tie-dyeing during the quarantine, so I decided that Jeff and I were going to wear tie-dye pajamas that he had made for us." In that moment, she wasn't just telling a funny anecdote about lockdown hobbies. She was revealing something intimate, the kind of detail that explains the very heart of a relationship. For Jeff, tie-dye was creativity, color, individuality. For Aubrey, embracing that meant honoring him. And in choosing to get married wearing pajamas that Jeff himself had designed, she was choosing authenticity over spectacle. That small detail suddenly takes on an entirely different weight today. Because when Aubrey walked out at SNL 50 in that tie-dye shirt, it wasn't just a callback to a memory, it was a continuation of a love story that now exists in memory alone. She was saying without words, Jeff is still here with me, Jeff is still a part of who I am, and fans understood. Social media lit up with posts pointing out the tribute. People shared side-by-side images of her outfit on stage with the old interview clip about tie-dye pajamas. It was the kind of unspoken language that only those who have experienced loss can fully appreciate. A garment became a bridge between past and present, love and grief. For Plaza, this wasn't just about honoring Jeff's quirks. It was about connecting her audience, her fans, and maybe even herself to the man she lost. A tie-dye shirt became a lifeline, a way of saying, this is who we were, and this is how I'll keep carrying him with me. The Drew Barrymore interview back in 2021 offered more insight into Jeff's tie-dye obsession. Quarantine had stripped away the chaos of Hollywood schedules and brought their life into a quieter rhythm, and in that quiet, Jeff found joy in creating something with his hands, swirls of color, patterns born of chance and creativity. Aubrey leaned into that, letting tie-dye become a shared symbol of their intimacy. When she said, "I decided that Jeff and I were going to wear tie-dye pajamas that he had made for us," it wasn't just about marriage. It was about choosing him, his art, his humor, his quirks, as the fabric of her new life. That context makes her SNL appearance more powerful. SNL 50 wasn't just another gig, it was her re-entry into the public eye after tragedy, and she didn't return draped in black, as tradition might suggest. She returned in color, in tie-dye, in his spirit. Grief is complicated. Some mourners wear silence, some wear darkness. Aubrey wore tie-dye, and in doing so, she reminded everyone watching that grief doesn't erase love, it transforms it. The shirt wasn't simply clothing, it was a message. Jeff made this. Jeff made us, and even in his absence, I will carry him forward. This gesture also spoke to the private way Plaza has navigated her personal life. She's known for keeping her relationship with Jeff out of the spotlight, even as both thrived in Hollywood. Their marriage was quiet, their bond more private than most celebrity couples, which is why when she chose to reveal that tie-dye pajama wedding story in 2021, fans clung to it. It was rare, intimate access. And now, in 2025, it echoes with a new meaning. Something so casual, so playful, now feels sacred. It's impossible not to reflect on how clothing has always been part of how we process memory. A shirt, a dress, a jacket, worn by someone we love or connected to a moment we cherish, suddenly becomes more than fabric. For Aubrey, tie-dye is no longer just a pattern. It's her marriage, it's her loss, it's her love story. That's why the fans recognized the tribute instantly. They weren't guessing. They knew the history. They remembered the quote. They connected the dots. And they saw, maybe more than Aubrey even said aloud, that this was her way of speaking when words might have failed. The tragedy of Jeff Baena's death leaves behind questions, pain, and silence. But Plaza's appearance shows that she isn't letting that silence consume her. Instead, she's finding subtle, creative ways to honor him. In a world where celebrity tributes often come through press releases or social media posts, Aubrey chose something more organic, something authentic to who Jeff was, a tie-dye shirt on live television. There was also a layer of symbolism in where this tribute happened. Saturday Night Live is a stage built on laughter, satire, performance. For Aubrey, standing there in tribute may have been a reminder of the balance between joy and pain. She was back to entertain, to perform, to make people laugh, and yet, woven into her clothing, there was grief. That duality, public joy, private mourning, felt perfectly aligned with the kind of performer she has always been, someone who can hold comedy and darkness in the same hand. Of course, no one knows better than Aubrey what that shirt meant in that moment. Maybe it was for Jeff, maybe it was for herself, maybe it was for the fans who had been quietly waiting to see how she would move forward. But what's clear is that the choice mattered, and that it spoke louder than any words she might have said in an interview. Even before his passing, Jeff's influence was felt in Plaza's life and work. The two had collaborated, supported each other's projects, and built a quiet foundation together outside of Hollywood noise. The tie-dye marriage was just one symbol of that partnership. His passing now makes every little detail, every mention, every story carry a heavier meaning. And while Aubrey Plaza has not gone into deep public discussion about her grief, that one moment at SNL 50 was enough to let people know she is carrying Jeff with her, not in silence, not in shadows, but in color. The article covering this moment also included something important, something beyond celebrity news. It ended with a reminder, one that connects Jeff's story to something larger than Hollywood. A message that said, if you or a loved one are struggling with suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing or texting 988. That reminder wasn't an afterthought. It was a recognition that grief like Aubrey's doesn't exist in a vacuum, that behind every headline about a celebrity's loss, there are countless people, ordinary people, struggling with the same pain. The inclusion of that lifeline was a bridge, a way of saying, this story is not just about Aubrey Plaza, it's about all of us who have faced loss or who are fighting unseen battles. And so, the tie-dye shirt at SNL 50 was more than a stylistic choice. It was a statement, it was a love letter, it was a tribute. It was Aubrey Plaza opening up without needing to say much at all about her husband Jeff Baena's death and the new life she is carving out as a widow.